It's a quiet night in New York, 1990. A Colombian drug dealer named Emilio leaves his apartment and walks to the corner. He steps into a phone booth and picks up the receiver. But before he can dial, shadows move. Three figures emerge from the dark. Guns raised, no words, just the crackle of bullets tearing through glass. Emilio's body slumps to the floor. One of the gunmen steps forward. He holds up a newspaper and shows it to the murdered man. The headline? Frank White released from prison. A few blocks away in a hotel room, another storm is brewing. King Tito, a heavy hitter in the Colombian drug trade, is mid-deal with Jimmy Jump, Frank White's trusted right-hand man.
Dope. It's dope, Tito.
Test tube checks the product and it's good.
It's copacetic, man.
But Tito suddenly demands more money than they had agreed on.
Now let's get to the large plus 10%.
Wait a minute, Tito, man. We had a deal, man. What's up? Why you want to be greedy, Tito?
You the sucking greed, that's our price. No one else even talks to you, goddamn motherfucker. Coños, now take it or leave it.
Why you want to talk to me like that, man? Take it or leave it. I take it. Because I like you. I'm going to take it.
A suitcase lands on the table and Tito opens it. Not cash, just a pile of super absorbent tampons. He looks up confused.
They put a bullet hole, puta.
In the next moment, guns are drawn. Shots are fired and the Colombians drop. Frank White is reclaiming his throne and blood is the price of admission.
Room service, mother.
Back in another room in the Plaza Hotel, Frank reunites with his crew after spending 3 years behind bars. At first, things feel tense, but then Frank cracks a smile and the mood shifts.
Up, up, up.
Jimmy reports to Frank. Emilio and Tito, gone. Their money, now Frank's. There's more. Gus here has already set up a business meeting with a middleman named Delicio, as requested by Frank. The meeting takes place in a hall downtown. It's packed with powerful figures, lawyers, editors, politicians, even a judge. As Frank enters, heads turn. His lawyer walks him to a seat. The men greet him like an old friend returning home. Among them are Delicio and also Jennifer, Frank's ex-girlfriend, now a counselor. Frank speaks. He says he's changed and he's even thinking of running for mayor. He then leans in close to Delicio and whispers a name, Artie Clay, a cartel boss. Frank wants a sit-down. Delicio gives a slight nod, then vanishes into the city's underbelly to make it happen. Frank takes a stroll underground with Jennifer, and they share a private moment in an empty subway car. 3 young men step in to mug them, but when they spot the gun tucked into Frank's waistband, they stop cold.
Your watch and your wallet, blood.
Whoa. How about that?
Then something unexpected. Frank hands them cash, tells them to come find him at the Plaza Hotel if they want real work. No threats, just a strange kind of mercy. Stunned and silent, the would-be muggers walk away, unsure if they just met danger or a second chance. Delicio walks into Artie's hideout and delivers Frank's message straight, but Artie doesn't like what he hears. The Colombian partners he once relied on are all gone, wiped out by Frank. Now Artie wants nothing to do with him. He refuses the meeting and sends a message of his own.
You tell him something else. This is what Artie Clay has to say. Stay out of here!
Not long after Frank arrives with his men, he walks in bold and confident like the place already belongs to him. He makes it simple. He runs the game now, not the Colombians, not anyone else.
From here on, nothing goes down unless I'm involved. A nickel bag gets sold in the park. I want in.
You think you're gonna live long enough to spend that money, you f***ing hump?
If any of you are tired of getting ripped off by guys like that, you come with me. I'm at the Plaza Hotel.
You're all welcome. The joint.
Just like that, the balance of power shifts. One evening, Frank sees the city councilman at a theater and takes the chance to confront him. He demands to know why a broken-down hospital in the Bronx still hasn't been rebuilt. The councilman just shrugs and says there's no money, 16 million short. If Frank really wants that hospital rebuilt, he'll have to find the money himself. Frank sees a chance to raise his public image and boost his odds of winning the mayoral race, so he agrees on the spot. His lawyer, Abe, urges him to back out, reminding him they don't have that kind of cash, but it's no use. Later, Frank sits at the bar nursing a drink when 3 detectives, Bishop, Gilly, and Flanagan, suddenly move in. They grab him by the arms and escort him away. Abe tries to step in, but they brush him off and push forward, forcing their way against traffic to avoid being followed. They stop under a bridge tucked away from sight. One of the detectives pulls back a tarp, revealing King Tito's lifeless body.
What's that?
You told me.
I don't know.
Flanagan doesn't buy it. His anger boils over and he lunges.
Shut the f*** up, motherfucker.
I'm the captain. I'm the captain. Get no this girl out.
The detectives believe Frank is tied to the murders of 3 crime bosses, all killed since his release from prison, but they have no proof, so they just warn him and drive away. At a quiet movie theater, Delisio sits down with Wong, a drug lord from China. He's there to broker a deal between Wong and Frank. Wong listens, then makes one thing clear. He wants cash, payment up front for 220 pounds of product. Delisio suggests a face-to-face meeting. Maybe with both men at the table they can find common ground. Soon after they meet at the struggling hospital in the Bronx, Frank lays out his plan. Instead of paying cash up front, he proposes a partnership. Wong's asking price is $3.5 million. On the street, the product could bring in $15 million. Frank proposes to handle distribution and sales. Wong gets his full wholesale price and a cut of the profits. Another portion of the money would go to keeping the hospital alive. Wong listens unmoved. He doesn't care about the hospital. He doesn't want a deal, a cause, or a partnership, just the money. $3.5 million in cash, nothing less. The next day, Jimmy walks into a fried chicken joint. At the counter, a worker yells at a group of kids.
He said, look, get away from the games, all right? You ain't got no money, just get away from the games, all right?
Jimmy steps in and drops a handful of quarters into their hands, then turns to their grandmother and gives her enough to cover a proper meal.
No offense, man, but you make sure they get what they want.
In a flash, the doors slam open. Detectives and officers flood the place, guns drawn, voices raised. Jimmy's under arrest, charged with the murder of King Tito.
You got a real live talking witness. I don't need no witnesses. Oh, yeah, mother. Well, you must be getting old.
Turns out one of Tito's men survived that night. He's in the hospital and he's ready to talk. Back at the hotel, Frank gets word of Jimmy's arrest. Frustrated with Bishop and the trouble he's causing, Frank tells his crew to get Jimmy out, no matter what it costs. Jennifer says the bail is set at $1 million, but Frank tells them to move forward with the call. That night, Jennifer and the crew head to the station and secure Jimmy's release. Just as they're walking out, the detectives pull up. Watching Jimmy walk free feels like a slap in the face.
Yo, fellas, what's up? Long time no see. Bishop, we having a party downtown. Why don't you bring Howdy Doody and the Chocolate Wonder? I hear your mother's gonna be there, man.
Gilly loses it and spits in his face, which is taken quite gently by Jimmy. The crew laughs, piling on with more taunts as they walk away.
And you can kiss my too.
Later in Chinatown, Frank and his men arrive with purpose. The violence is swift, and Wong's crew doesn't stand a chance. One by one, they're wiped out. When the dust settles, only Wong is left. Frank and Jimmy corner him, leaving him no choice but to hand over all the cocaine in his possession. But surrender doesn't save him. He's now part of the ceiling decor. A few days later, the long-stalled rebuilding of the Bronx's General Hospital finally begins, funded by a large donation from Frank. The news spreads fast and it hits a nerve. Detective Gilly is furious. To him, Frank is becoming a public hero, the so-called King of New York. Too rich, too connected, and now too loved for the justice system to touch. Gilly's done waiting for evidence or a clean arrest. He lays out a plan, fast, brutal, and off the books. A hand-picked team will strike. They'll take Frank out and make it look like a gang hit. It's risky and illegal, but he thinks it's the only way. Bishop disagrees. He says it's reckless, maybe even suicidal, but Gilly doesn't listen. His mind is made up. A few nights later, Frank and his crew gather inside a rundown apartment. They're waiting for Delisio, who's bringing in a potential buyer. He arrives with a drug boss from Los Angeles in tow. This man already knows Frank is sitting on a 220-pound shipment and he wants it. His offer, half the money now, the rest once the product sells in LA. Frank doesn't flinch. He demands the full $12 million up front. The buyer pauses, then asks to inspect the goods before making the deal. Frank agrees, but the moment the man steps outside, he pulls out a gun and shoots one of the guards. It's an ambush. Delisio has betrayed Frank. He's working with the buyer. In seconds, armed men burst into the apartment. Bullets fly, people scream. Frank's crew fights back, but they're outnumbered. Frank is almost hit, but someone saves him. One of his loyal companions throws herself into the line of fire to protect him. Through the gunfire and smoke, Frank manages to reach a car. He grabs Jimmy and they drive off fast. One attacker grabs onto the car door. Frank swerves hard and slams the man into a fire hydrant, crushing the man instantly. The others witness the scene and immediately give chase. It's revealed that they are none other than detectives Gilly and Flanagan. What follows is a high-speed pursuit laced with heavy gunfire. After a relentless chase, Frank manages to lose them. Gilly and Flanagan keep circling, scanning the area and trying to track him down. Then out of nowhere, Frank comes crashing straight into their car. Wasting no time, Frank and Jimmy jump out and split up in different directions. Flanagan bolts after Jimmy while Gilly quickly checks the wreck, but Frank has already vanished. Beneath a nearby bridge, Jimmy surprises Flanagan with an ambush. A shot rings out and Flanagan drops. Jimmy doesn't stop. He keeps firing over and over. But then Gilly appears and unloads his weapon into Jimmy. He rushes to Flanagan's side and desperately tries to save him, but it's no use. His partner is gone. Grief turns to fury. He turns to Jimmy and ends it with one final shot to the head. At the funeral, Detective Gilly is overcome with guilt for the fallen officers and can't bring himself to stay any longer. He steps away from the service and gets into his car. But just then a limousine pulls up beside him. The tinted window slides down and there's Frank. He shoots Gilly dead on the spot and disappears. Frank now faces Delisio, who's been caught and brought in by Gus. At first, Delisio acts innocent, claiming he's been set up. But as the questioning goes on, he breaks. He admits he took a massive payoff and was promised a spot in witness protection in return for cooperating with the police. The moment Frank hears the full betrayal, he gives the orders to his men, bury the traitor right next to the dirty money he sold them out for. Night has settled over the city when lead detective Bishop returns home, only to discover Frank already waiting inside. Calm but intense, Frank confesses to killing Artie Clay. He also admits to eliminating Wong, the Chinatown businessman known for smuggling illegal immigrants, and King Tito, the man responsible for flooding New York streets with prostitution. Frank shows no sign of guilt. Instead, he defends his actions, claiming he only targeted those who deserve to die. But there's fury in his voice when he brings up Bishop's decision to name him public enemy number 1. Then he delivers his warning.
I got a $250,000 contract on anyone involved in this case.
Before leaving, he commands Bishop to cuff himself to a chair. But the moment he steps out, Bishop manages to break free and chases after him. He follows Frank into the subway and finally spots him inside a train car. As Bishop moves closer, Frank suddenly grabs a nearby passenger and uses them as a shield. Bishop raises his voice, pleading with Frank to give up and end it peacefully, but Frank doesn't listen.
You can't hide behind it forever.
I don't need forever.
Frank walks out of the subway with a steady calm and hails a taxi, but he's not unscathed. Bishop's final bullet has struck him badly. Seconds later, police flood the scene. The taxi driver, noticing the gun in Frank's hand, panics. He jumps out of the cab and flags down the approaching officers. Police units close in, surrounding the vehicle from every side. Frank is trapped, wounded, and too weak to run. With nowhere left to go and his strength fading fast, he quietly bleeds out, dying alone before he can make another move.